So look, man, let's talk about week one games. There's some that it is what it is, and we'll move on. Central Arkansas takes on the Missouri Tigers. I would assume there's not even a line on the game.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
no voodoo needed for this one for the evil one. I think that talent alone will be able to pull it off, and they're going to have more than Central Arkansas.
yeah. Missouri will win that game. All right, that's on Thursday, which is great, man. We got some SEC action on Thursday. Friday, Auburn takes on Baylor and Baylor, right? And Auburn is a 2.5 point favorite to win that game. That's it. Auburn's favorite to win that game by 2.5 points. The over-under is 57.5. I think this game right here really dictates what Auburn's season is this season. I mean, moving forward. I really do.
I don't disagree. I don't know that I think the game is that heavy for Auburn. Baylor's got a history of having a pretty good program as well. So I don't want to hinge their entire season on this game. If they drop this one, I think that there's still opportunity for Auburn to pull back and have a respectable season. But that said, I don't think they're going to lose it. I think Hugh Freeze and the Tigers come out on top and they scream War Eagle for whatever reason all the way home from Waco.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think just judging by some of their offseason moves, we had the slot receiver from Georgia Tech that just killed us. He went over to Auburn and joined Cam Coleman, who was another top 5-10 receiver in NCAA. So we have two absolute studs on that offense now in Auburn. You're pairing up with Jackson Arnold now. So I'd like to see how it looks like, of course, but this is their first game. So got to make a call. I would probably go with Auburn here by 10 or so. I don't think it's going to be too close.
Wow. Yeah, I think Auburn wins this game, and I may actually be with you. Auburn could run away with this game and maybe make a pretty good statement on their place in this season in the SEC. I do have Auburn as a team to watch, as a team that's coming up in the SEC. I believe that they will be better this year than they were last year. I do. Then on Saturday, 3:30 kick, we have Marshall is coming to the motherland in Athens, GA. The spread is 39.5 with the over and under 55.5. So they're not really seeing that Marshall's going to score very much. I don't think that they will score very much. I think Georgia runs away with this game and makes a statement. And I think Gunner's gonna come in and make that statement, because there's a lot of people doubting Gunner Stockton, and I think he says, I'm QB1 after this game.
There's a lot of reasons that they play games like this in the beginning. Certainly, you'd want to have an opportunity to let your new starting quarterback tune up a little bit for the upcoming season. You're certainly not doing it against a traditional cupcake team in Marshall. Marshall's known to demand some respect in the football world. I don't see them getting a lot of it in Athens on Saturday. In fact, if anything, they'll be shown the direction to go home with a loss. Keep the keys out of your pocket, bus driver. You're going to need them again pretty soon. Georgia is going to pound, not thunder, but pound the Thundering Herd.
And it's going to take them a long time to get out of Athens. So, that traffic. But no, I agree. I'm gonna agree with the chicken on just talking about Marshall. Like, outside of this group of 4 schools, like, Marshall really is a solid program for those bottom tier D1 programs. But they lost a lot. They lost their head coach, and I think a lot of their players from last year left with him for his head coaching job. So I will obviously take Georgia, and I think it's good that it's not like Austin Peay, which will be our week 2 matchup. It is a more difficult team to play, but at the end of the day, I think we're going to take it, and we'll get some of these new receivers some good reps before too hard of play happens.
Yeah, because these days in the SEC, it doesn't take very long before the schedule gets real. And so, yes, our first couple of weeks in Athens is pretty easy, but not after that, for sure. Now, there is a noon kickoff game. And for the life of me,
There's a couple of them. You just got sidetracked by your
I know,
Bulldogs.
I know. But well, I'm going to talk about this new kickoff game and for the life of me, I don't understand. I know it's all about media rights and this and that, and where it's being played. But man, this is a premier game that should be on at 7:30. There's no doubt about that. So, number one, Texas takes that bus ride, plane ride, whatever. I hope it's a plane ride, all the way from Austin, Texas to Columbus, Ohio, and takes on the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. And my God, look, man, I don't think you can ask for a better matchup, a better starting game than these number 1 and number 2. It's phenomenal.
This is going to be a knockdown drag out. We talked about it a couple of shows ago, I think, about Texas, one of their offensive linemen out for the season with a knee injury. Andre Coho, I believe is his name. But it's interesting. I pulled up their depth chart. It's interesting to me. It's probably pretty upsetting to Ohio State. They backfill pretty quickly in Texas. So across the front line, Trevor Gooseby, a sophomore, came out as a 4-star player. Nito Umizulu, a left guard, a junior right now, came out as a 4-star player. Cole Hudson, a senior, came out of high school as a 4-star player. DJ Campbell, another senior, came out of high school as a 5-star player. Right tackle Brandon Baker, a sophomore, came out of high school as a 5-star player. No slouches across the front, and every pound that they're stuffing underneath that jersey, they earned in the weight room and at the nutritionist table. These guys are going to be coming with a lot of beef to protect Arch Manning. This is going to be a close game. I like the Longhorns by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm hoping Texas wins as well, obviously because of SEC bias, but also I want that hype train to get as large as possible before the smackdown in the motherland, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I really don't know how to project this game. I really don't. I could see it going both ways. I will tell you this. Do I believe Texas is going to beat Ohio State by 2 or 3 touchdowns? No. Would I be shocked if Ohio State beats Texas by 2 or 3 touchdowns? No. At the end of the day, I hate to say this, man, but I think Ohio State wins this game. I do. I really do. And I think Lee Corso puts on the Buckeye helmet as his final hoorah on Saturday.
It's not a bad pick. And the way that you describe it is understandable. The defensive side of the football this year for Texas is not the best side of the ball for them, but they're solid. They're not bad on defense. They're solid. There just aren't a whole lot of players on that side of the football that make you sit there and just want to scream championship when you hear their name. I'll tell you one right now, Anthony Hill Jr. That's right, no screams. But 5-star player coming out of high school, junior linebacker for the Texas Longhorns. These guys have a lot of talent. I think they're going to be solid. I think they're going to be solid enough to beat Ohio State in week 1. Let's not forget, both of these schools are going into the year with a new guy under center. Air quote that for Texas, because Arch has been under center before, and he's thrown a couple of passes as a Longhorn quarterback. But still, a lot of unproven ground for both of these guys. I think Texas is going to come out on top.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anthony Hill is the best linebacker in the SEC, though. I'm excited to see how he plays against a new front like Ohio State has.
Now, I will say this. Out of the 2 teams, who do I think is the better team overall? I think Texas is. I actually think Ohio State will have a down year from last. I mean, I don't know how much more you can't go up than what you did last year. You won the national championship. I think Texas is a better team. I just think it's week one, the horseshoe, that environment may be too much for the Longhorns and Arch Manning to overcome. I could be wrong. Like I said, I think Texas Longhorns and the roster is a better program. They're a better team this year, talent-wise. And I think Sark is a way better coach than Ryan Day. No doubt about that. I just think the environment could play a big factor into it. And it being week one, and they have not had the ability to get their feet wet. They're both getting their feet wet at the same time. Both teams, both new quarterbacks. And I just think the environment could play a big part in that. So this next game to me is interesting. Really, really interesting. Also a noon kickoff. And by the way, that Texas and Ohio State game, Ohio State is favored in that game by 1.5 points, over under 47.5. So they're thinking it's going to be a pretty, not a high scoring game. It's just going to be a match. This next game, though, I think it's really going to be great. Is number 24, Tennessee, host Syracuse in Atlanta. Tennessee is favored to win that game by 13.5 points. Over and under is 50.5. Tennessee can lose this game.
Tennessee could lose this game. I don't think they're going to, but they're not going to win by 13. They're not going to win by 14. If they win this game, it's going to be close. It's going to be a touchdown or less that they are able to squeak out a victory in Atlanta. Syracuse is used to playing indoors. Syracuse is used to playing on turf. Syracuse doesn't care that this is Tennessee. Syracuse doesn't even really care that they've had an absolute house fire of an offseason. Syracuse is going to come to play because that's what they do. Yes, they're an ACC school, and that is going to take away a few points just right off the rip. But they're going to come to play. This is way too big of a spread between these two schools. I like Tennessee to win it by a field goal, but I think Syracuse is going to give them all they can handle.
Yeah, I would actually take the other direction. I think Syracuse is going to pull out this win. It's probably going to be by 3 or 6 or something like that, maybe even 1, depending on how the scores go. But I'm not a big believer in Tennessee. There's no surprise about that this year. But this spread is ridiculous. If I could bet in college football, I would certainly be betting the under here. I think, Fran Brown left our defensive back unit as a coach at Georgia, and he's leading Syracuse now. So I got Syracuse. I'm going to be a little biased here.
Yeah, let me ask you this. We talk about this all the time, week one matchups, week one losses. I think we may have hit that a little bit on the Texas-Ohio State in previous shows. What happens with that? I don't think any one of us thinks that whatever happens in that Texas-Ohio State game will really dictate the rest of the year. But this game, if Tennessee loses, man, I mean, how does that shape the rest of their season moving forward?
The last lug nut just fell off. And you are going down the track with no wheels, bro. That's what happens if you drop, if or when, depending on myself or B-Dawg, you drop to Syracuse. And let me say this too. If you beat Syracuse by a field goal, maybe the lug nut comes off next week. Okay. This is not going to be anything for Tennessee to win in a tight one. The only true win that happens on Saturday for Tennessee is if they absolutely blow the doors off the season. You've got to beat these guys by 40 to make it look like you're Tennessee, a top 25 Tennessee, and that it's going to be pretty good sailing this year. Otherwise, it's all an L.
Yeah, you got to restore some hope into that organization's fans. So I agree. You gotta win big, and even if you win by a field goal, is that really a win?
Ask Dan Mullen. He was very proud of that close victory against Idaho State.
Yeah, but I'm gonna, and I know you're not a big fan of Dan, but I'm gonna tip a little bit of credit to him in that he's at UNLV, not Tennessee.
This is true. This is true.
Because
He's trying to
he's
work.
got that to fall back on.
He's trying to work his way back to a Tennessee.
Or he's just happy to be that close to the craps tables. I don't know.
Hey, there's no telling. All right, look, here's the next game. Another noon kickoff. Mississippi State goes to Southern Miss and Harrisburg, Mississippi. I got Mississippi State winning. Oh, the Mississippi State is only favored to win that game by 12, and the over-under is 61.5. They must know something we don't. I think Mississippi State wins it by more than 12, and they carry home a very solid view.
I think they win by more than 12. Southern Miss has had their struggles in recent memory. So I don't look for them to put up that much of a fight. And really, if you're a 4-star, 3-star guy in the state of Mississippi and you're torn between Mississippi State and Southern Miss, well, at least one of them's in the SEC, right? So, I mean, you kind of break down the decision-making process that way. I don't look for a lot from the Bulldogs this season other than anything better than last year's progress. And so look for them to come out and open up strong and hopefully give those guys some momentum going forward.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm gonna take the little dogs in this one.
Yeah. Hey, Southern Mississippi had a good running back last year. Was it last year? Famous running back. Like, Parent was a famous something.
I believe
yeah.
when Frank Gore's son go there.
I think so. I don't think he's on there this year.
He's not. I believe he made it to the practice squad somewhere or something.
Okay. All right. And I think he did pretty good at Southern Miss. Now we have one of these weird games which kind of goes along with this coach. We have a 12:45 kick with Toledo and Kentucky in Lexington at Kroger Field. He should be ashamed of himself about what I'm about to say. Stoops, you should be ashamed of yourself. Kentucky is favored to win that game by 7.5 points. So
Wow.
I'm saying there's a chance.
That's sad.
That's very sad.
What's worse is that Toledo is one of those schools that can sneak up on you. Because Kentucky's going to go into this game thinking, hey, we're at home. It's the opener. We're Kentucky. We're in the SEC. And Toledo's going to come in there and say, we're Toledo. We don't care. Sign the check right here, win or loss, that they're going to take their money and go back home. And they might do it with a W.
Ooh, are you saying they're going to win?
I look for this to be a ridiculously close game, an unreasonably close game, an unexplainably close game. One of those close games that Coach Stoops is going to have a way to explain in the AD's office on Sunday morning. But no, I think Kentucky's going to win it, but I think they're only going to win by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'll take Kentucky too, and I will lean on their side with that spread. I'll take them by 10 or 14 or something, but the fact that this line is the way it is just, that's very sad. I can't believe it.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
Yeah.
I'm going to say Kentucky wins this game. As much as I'm just not a Stoops guy, but I think they'll win this game. I think it actually be more than they'll win by more than 7.5 points. I believe so. So now this is a game Taylor's going to be excited for. At 3:30, number 8 Alabama goes to Tallahassee, Florida, and take on the Florida State Seminoles. The spread is 13.5, and the over/under is 50.5. Chicken.
I haven't seen anything from Florida State other than their recruits leaving to come to South Carolina. So I just don't know where the excitement is that's going to bring a line that close. I think Alabama easily handles Florida State and Tallahassee. I don't think it's close. I think it's I think it's over before the half.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't know about the whole first half thing, but I do think ultimately Alabama wins this game. I think it might take a quarter for Ty Simpson and company to get fully, what's the word, fully in shape and everything. But for the most part, yeah, I think Alabama's going to take it. But it's definitely going to go over the spread. I'll say 2 touchdowns.
Okay, so you think it's going to go over the spread? Chicken, you think it's going to go over the spread? I'm gonna say Alabama wins this game. I just don't know by how much. I do believe Alabama wins, but Alabama plays some goofy teams, man. Over the last couple of years, it just doesn't play them right, like South Florida, and I don't think that's one of these teams. It would be one heck of a comeback for Florida State after last season to be able to come in week 1 and beat the Crimson Tide. I don't see it happening, but who knows?
I did forget they lost they're not going to have their running back that week too. We mentioned that in the last episodes.
Jam Miller's back.
Oh, he's
that
back?
Game said that. I think I read that the Jam Miller's going to be a go.
Really?
I think so.
That wasn't supposed to happen, was it?
Mm-mm.
That's great. Good for him.
You can fact check me on that one, but I think that's what I read.
It looks like he's expected to be return versus Georgia, which is week 4. No worries. I'm glad we figured that out though. Yes, so it does look like they're missing their RB1 for first game.
But let's be honest, we're still talking about Alabama, and it's not a situation at Bama or any school in the SEC anymore where once running back 1 goes down, you're out of luck, because most of these programs now run by committee. They've got a platoon of guys so that everybody's legs stay fresh and everybody's hungry for contact. So it's going to be a next man up for the Crimson Tide.
That's right. Speaking of Alabama, at 4:15 on the SEC network, Alabama A&M takes on the Fighting Pittmans, Arkansas, in Fayetteville, Arkansas. There is no line on this game. Arkansas wins massive. I actually like this game a lot because I think this is about the perfect game that you can ask for Green to be able to come in and get all the kinks worked out. It's a great week 1 matchup for Arkansas.
Yeah, I think in Fayetteville they're going to be calling the Hogs. I think they're going to be doing it a lot, and I think Taylor Green's going to have a bang-up day against Alabama A&M. Sorry for the Alabama A&M fellows. That's going to be a rough way to start the year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I think that I think he could possibly throw for 3 touchdowns and run himself 1 as well. I mean, he could have a huge day.
Huge.
Yeah, I think you can get tickets as low as $9 right now, so maybe we can go watch the game. Well, that's cheaper than a high school game nowadays.
That's true.
Illinois State has to go to Norman, Oklahoma, and take on the Sooners. Sooners are favored to win that game by 35 points, over and under 60.5. Oklahoma just waxes Illinois State.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this is one of those games where Oklahoma is going to need it. They need to come into the season with more confidence than what they left last season with, and a big win over Illinois State will help to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll probably take that under. 35 points is a lot of points, but I do think Mateer starts off well here in week 1.
This next game, I'm very excited to mention this actual program. We talked a lot about them on the last show, kind of brought them to relevance.
National prominence.
Yes, that's even better. And so the Long Island University Fighting AOC Sharks is going to take on number 15 Florida Gators at the Swamp. Go Long Island. Go Sharks.
Yeah. We talked to Mario earlier, and we were asking what it was like, what the anticipation, but, and when does the juice kick in? Is it in the tunnel? Is it that first hit? I think that Long Island won't have enough Long Island iced tea to nurse these wounds I don't even know if this is their first game ever, but what a rough way to start. Florida is going to put them in the death roll, and the Gators are going to tear them up from start to finish. This is going to be a long, long, long night for the Long Island University Sharks. I'm sorry. What's not to love about Long Island at this point? We've talked about them so much, but they may very well all die on Saturday. And the resignations will be turned in at the end of the third quarter. Like, I don't want to coach anymore. I give up. Florida by a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree. Of course, I'm not sure how long our AOC Sharks have been with us here in playing football, but
It's
I
their
know
first year.
it is.
No, I'm just playing. I don't know.
That wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. But, hey, I know it's due to media rights, but it is very funny how this is a 7:00 game versus Texas, Ohio State. That's pretty funny to me, but I know it's due to Fox and their notoriety. But either way,
Yeah,
I got Florida.
yeah. It's their first ever football game, and they said, "Hey, let's find a team that's going to fund our new stadium." And they chose Florida. Yeah, Florida's going to win big. And DJ Lagway, they've already announced DJ Lagway's back. So he's going to be starting week 1 against the Sharks. So
It'll probably be 2 for 2 with 2 touchdowns and 100 yards on the ground and another touchdown. And then the end of the first quarter.
So they've had a team since 1928. But
There
is a significant break because it looks like their Brooklyn school and whatever merged. They've now reestablished since 2019. So this is their sixth year since the merger.
wow.
So no 7th-year seniors for the AOC Sharks.
Nope.
No, not at all. UT San Antonio rolls down to College Station, takes on the Screaming Aggies. M is favored to win that game by 24.5 points. Over and under 56.5. Aggies have their way with this.
Yeah, I think Texas A&M is going to win. I think that Bob is going to be happy that he went to Yale practice that night. Bob, is Bob here today? Do we have Bob with us? No.
Bob, you better comment.
No,
Bob. I didn't know if we had a recording of Bob at last week's cheer practice. But, yeah, I think A&M rolls out big in this one by 21.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think similar to Mateer and Callan.
There's Bob. Bob, you're late.
It's okay. He just heard you. But yes, Lagway coming in versus these other teams. Same thing with Mateer and Green. I think Marcel Reed's going to have a good opportunity to get on the right page before he starts facing SEC talent. And of course, A&M's winning, especially in College Station. I mean, come on.
Yep. All right, so next game is Charleston Southern goes to Nashville, Tennessee to take on Diego Pavia,
Herbert.
Ernie, and Vandy is favored to win that game by 37 points, over and under 48.5. Yeah, Vandy has their way.
Yeah, I Charleston Southern get paid, right? Like just get up there, get your money, and go home. I don't think that anybody outside of Ladson, South Carolina, thinks that the Buccaneers of Charleston Southern have a chance at winning this game. Diego certainly doesn't. I think that this is going to be a high point of the season for the Commodores. I think they anchor down pretty hard in this one. But again, this is another one. Tickets as low as $9. So if you don't have anything else to do Saturday evening and you're still standing on Broadway, make your way over to Commodore Stadium and see if you can watch an SEC football game.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely taking the under though. This 37 spread is funny, but I don't know. I've never watched Charleston Southern, and I won't watch this game. But let's go, Vandy.
This next game You cannot go for $9. It's actually a very high price ticket game, and it's a big, big game.
Big game.
It's huge, man, I think. Number 9, LSU Tigers roll into the other Death Valley and takes on the number 4 Clemson in Clemson, South Carolina. Clemson is favored to win that game by 4 points, but they're home, so you can kind of say 1 point, over and under 57.5. Man, what a game.
This is huge. I mean, you've got the obvious in Garrett Nussmeier putting on the number 1-8 for the LSU Tigers, but you got Cade Klubnik over there for Clemson. And as much as I don't like to admit it, he is amazing. Might be the best quarterback in all of college football this year. That all will remain to be seen, but he has definitely got the arm talent and the head talent for the Clemson Tigers. This is going to be a close one. However, I don't think that Clemson has been playing in the portal long enough, and I think that that's going to be the difference in this ball game. I think LSU wins by a field goal late.
Interesting. I will say I do think LSU wins, but I think it's due to Clemson's lack of defense and not lack of offense. I would agree. I think Cade is the best quarterback returning here in college football, but I do think Nuss is right there. I mean, he's top 3, top 4, maybe top 5 at worst. So, I mean, this is going to be 2 electric teams battling each other, but I will go LSU by 6 or 7.
You know, I love the take from the chicken. That I didn't dislike your take, B. I'm sorry, dog. But I did kind of like your angle on that, man. You know, Dabo not being in the portal long enough. So that disadvantage that we have seen over the last several years about him not being in the portal, that still carries over to the 2025 season. I agree with that a lot. But at the end of the day, I think LSU wins this game. I do. The environment's going to be tough for LSU. There's no doubt about it. And a lot of people are high on Cade Klubnik. I am too. I think he's great. Some people say, B, you said you think he might be the best in college football. I'm actually leaning more towards Garrett Nussmeier being one of the best quarterbacks in college football. This is definitely going to give us it's going to give us some direction on how the rest of the season is going to go. But I got LSU winning this game. Georgia State host number 21, my man, Lane Kiffin.
How you doing?
In Oxford, and the spread's 36 points, over and under 60. I think this is a really, really, really good game for Lane Kiffin for 2 reasons. So I'll go ahead and start first since he's my bromance. I think this is a really good game because Georgia State is kind of like that Georgia Marshall game. Georgia State's no chump team. They're not a bad team. They're not Austin Peay, right? So it's a good game for Ole Miss, and I'm having a brain fart.
Georgia State.
No. Starting quarterback for Ole Miss, Austin Simmons.
Sorry about that.
I keep thinking about Ty Simpson. That was going in my head, but that's Alabama. But I think it's a good game for Austin to be able to come in and gain control of his offense and learn that and gel well to move forward into the rest of the season. So, I have Ole Miss winning big, but I think it's going to be a good game.
I don't think it'll be a good game. I think Ole Miss wins big. I think that they throw it into 5th gear pretty quickly and just cruise on. I don't see a lot coming out of Georgia State this year. And again, you're at home. You want to start off the season pretty loudly. I think that Lane's going to be carrying around that 9-3 chip on his shoulder and wanting to kind of set things apart for the Ole Miss Rebs pretty early in the season here to kind of take the lead and try and stay out front of the pack. So I look for Ole Miss to just absolutely destroy Georgia State.
Yeah, I think it's going to be domination. The only bright side as a Dog fan is we will see some Branson Robinson. So we'll see how he plays here, Georgia State versus Ole Miss.
Yeah, I hear you on that. But ask Bob Stoops how it worked out when he thought he was getting a stud from Georgia. Not well.
I'm just saying that if there's one reason I'm going to watch this game, it's not to see Ole Miss throttle Georgia State. It's for my own personal biases.
All right, so the last game we're going to talk about in the SEC, and we left it for the last one because it's Saturday or it's on Sunday, but I just think it's going to be a great game. I'm really, really, really looking forward to this game, and
so is Bob.
Yeah,
So it's Bob. That's right. He's
here's
looking
Bob.
for this one too.
So Bob and the Virginia Tech Hokies travel to, Bob is leaving Texas, to let you know, to come to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, to take on your beloved South Carolina Gamecocks. South Carolina is favored to win this game by 8 points, over and under 52.5. And I'm going to go first, and B, I'm going to let you go after that. And then Chicken, I'm just going to let you have your way with this game, man. So I think Lenore Sellers is the difference maker in this game. Him and Shane Beamer, I think there's great things to be said about that program this year. And I think this is the start of a really, really fantastic season for South Carolina. I have them winning by at least 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I would push back against this this line. My line says South Carolina by 8. I would take it by at least 2 touchdowns, and I think the difference maker outside of the guys previously mentioned is we're going to see Dylan Stewart and company really dominate this game. I'm excited to see.
Good take.
A lot of interesting storylines here, obvious player storylines, but let's not forget Frank Beamer had such an amazing career at Virginia Tech. Shane Beamer played, he was, he's coach's son, but he played at Virginia Tech. South Carolina going to play against Virginia Tech, a Shane Beamer led team. Yes, Lenore Sellers is healthy. Yes, he's a stud. Yes, he's going to wear them out. Rashul Faison is going to be all over the place, showing the NCAA exactly why they should be thanking everyone around that they made the right decision to clear this guy and let him light up the field in a college football game. The only thing that I've heard about Dylan Stewart this offseason is that he's better than he was last year. So ask me who's going to win. Oh, yeah. We're going with the Gamecocks.
It's back.
Gamecocks by 17 in this one.
Wow. Yeah, I could see 17 for sure. Look, real quick, we are an SEC centric show, but I do think there's one other game that's not SEC that I want to mention because I think it's going to be a really good game. There's some people that are going to be in this game that's a little close to home. There's a team that played in the national championship last year. They fell a little short. They're going to look a little different.
Chris Freeman.
Riley Leonard. Sorry. I'm old. Riley Leonard is not under center. So how does this Notre Dame Fighting Irish look? I don't know. But they have to go to Miami, Florida, and take on Miami, the Fighting Hurricanes, the Fighting Becks. And this could be a really fun game to watch. Really fun game to watch. It's actually going to be on after your South Carolina game on Sunday.
Catholics and Convicts Part 2. I love it. I think that the fact that the game is played on Sunday probably leans towards favoring the Catholics, probably a little loosely there. But, I think that Notre Dame is going to actually win this game. I don't see all the hype about Carson Beck, and I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope the young man has a great game and has a great season leading into a career that he wants. To date, I've not been impressed by Carson Beck as a solo act. He's a great bandmate. He did great things, led his team to a lot of great wins there at Georgia, but didn't ever really come across as the guy who could be, a John Elway, right? Like he's that Joe Montana type of guy where he can keep the system running, but he can't stand on his own. And I just don't know how well that's going to play out in Miami.
Yeah, for your take, I think he's, poised to have a successful last year before the NFL, seeing how easy that, or I couldn't do it, but as easy as it looks for quarterbacks to step into that pro style offense and do well and succeed. But yeah, I will take Notre Dame just simply based on Marcus Freeman. I think he's top 5 coach in our league, and I think he's class act as well. So, he's one of my favorite coaches I've ever seen live. So I think he's going to lead them to victory here. It's probably going to be 3 to 10 points, though. I don't think by much. Miami's a good squad.
Yeah, I think, and I'm going to have to agree with you, B, as far as Marcus Freeman. I do think he's a class act. I do. And I think he's a great coach. And I think there's big things to come for him, but not in this game. I actually think Miami's going to win this game. I do believe that Carson Beck is going to be the difference maker. For a couple reasons. One, I think he's a really good quarterback. I really do. I think if he wouldn't have got hurt in the SEC championship last year and he would have been under center against Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl, I think he would have won the game. I really do. I'm sure he was on this. I can't remember if he was on the sideline or not during that game. But anyway, I think Carson Beck wins this game. I do. And the Miami Hurricanes. So look, man, now that we've talked about all the the big game, all the SEC games that are this weekend, and then the one top 25 thing I think was worth talking about, which was Notre Dame and Miami, man. Now it is time for the Uncle Kenny.
Ladies and gentlemen, my Uncle Kenny. It's game week, and yes, I do not count week 0. Did the SEC take the field? That should answer your question alone. Uncle Kenny has gotten himself into a bind in an unnamed conflict zone. But I've managed to get away long enough to hammer out some thoughts on week 1 games. Hope to be stateside for kickoff. No telling what that fool's doing now. South Carolina, Virginia Tech. South Carolina and Virginia Tech might not sound like the flashiest matchup on paper, but this one's got the makings of a street fight in shoulder pads. South Carolina's carrying that SEC chip on its shoulder, the one that says, we've seen tougher Saturdays than you could throw at us. They'll want to pound the ball, make it ugly, and let the defense chew on Virginia Tech's offense like a hound with a bone. Virginia Tech, on the other hand, comes in with pride of its own. Lane Stadium might be a long way from Columbia, but the Hokies don't scare easy. They've built their name on special teams, grit, and playing harder than you'd think they could. They'll spread the field, test that Gamecock secondary, and see if South Carolina can keep up when the game turns fast. Both teams have enough fight to make this one interesting deep into the fourth quarter. Just don't expect it to be pretty. This is the kind of matchup where the marching bands might need Advil when it's over. I'm picking the Cocks, but this game is going ugly. The Gamecocks escaped, but barely. The battle for Death Valley. LSU and Clemson don't play football games. They stage heavyweight prize fights with shoulder pads. LSU will bring that Cajun swagger, the kind that smells like gumbo and sounds like a trombone. They'll want to lean on brute force. The offensive line pushing like they're trying to move the Mississippi River a few feet east, and a defense that hits so hard you'd half expect the lights to flicker. Clemson, though, has its own rhythm. They're slick, fast, and run their offense like it's on cruise control. Quarterback play has been their calling card for years, and their wideouts always look like they were built in a lab somewhere in the Carolinas. If LSU tries to make it a brawl, Clemson will try to make it a track meet. It's two programs used to big stages, two fan bases convinced that they've invented tailgating, and two bands that could wake up the dead. One side will want to grind you down. The other will want to outrun you. Either way, when the final whistle blows, nobody's walking out of this one without a few bruises and maybe a hangover. LSU wins and retains the rights to the Death Valley moniker. Texas versus Ohio State. This isn't just any game for Texas. It's the game for Steve Sarkisian. He's had talents, he's had moments, but now he's got the stage to prove he can win the big one. Folks down in Austin have been waiting a long time to feel like the Longhorns are back for real, not just back in the preseason magazines. If Sark can walk off the field with a win in Columbus, nobody will question whether he's the man for the job again. Now, Ohio State is always dangerous. They recruit like somebody's handing out free Bugattis behind the stadium. But here's the thing. They lost too much talent from last year. Quarterback gone. Defensive line just diminished. You can't just keep pulling rabbits, out of a hat forever. At some point, you reach in and grab nothing but lint. And this is the NIL era. Players leave. Sure, the Buckeyes reloaded. They always do. But there's a difference between reloading in September against Indiana and reloading in a heavyweight fight against Texas. You can't coach experience, and that's exactly what Ohio State's missing this time around. Meanwhile, Texas has the quarterback, at least in name, the depth at receiver, and the defense that finally looks like it enjoys hitting people again. Sark's been stacking up the pieces for this exact kind of moment. If he can't win this game when the opponent's breaking in a half of a new roster, then when can he? I've seen Ohio State fans puff their chests out about the Ohio State University. That's fine. Down south, we put the in front of something. It's usually the Waffle House, and it means you can find one on every corner. Texas doesn't need an article before its name. Texas is Texas. That's enough. Ohio State fans will pack their section, but their OHIO chant, which, bless them, is about the limit of their spelling capabilities. And the band will strut out to dot the I, but traditions don't make tackles. Traditions don't pick up third and long. Talent does. Experience. And right now, Texas has more of both where it counts. The Ohio State is walking directly into a buzzsaw.
Yes, man, have I been longing for a buzzsaw pick. Man, you know what that means? I'm going to be honest with you. Hearing the buzzsaw, hearing that last phrase, that Ohio State is walking directly into a buzzsaw, I think it's the first time I really realized that college football is back. That just solidified it's back for me.
Well, and I would echo that. So I know my Uncle Kenny would never put this on his own shoulders. He'll brag about a lot of things, pretty much everything other than this, being that college football starts with him. But I'm with you. He made the comment that the SEC didn't play last week, and so he doesn't count week 0. This is the first week of college football. It's the first week, and part of that is because my Uncle Kenny's involved with the buzzsaw pick.
Yeah, I'm excited. B, what do you think about the buzzsaw?
I mean, I agree with him for sure, but it's great to hear Uncle Kenny's words through the chicken, but I'm glad to hear from him. Hope to see some Georgia not going into that buzzsaw anytime soon.